grab a drink, get comfy, and prepare to learn about
the strange, the unusual, and the downright stupid things you didn't think that you needed to know about.
I'm Kaila.
And I'm Brooke. And this is Drunk in the Library. Hi friends, we're back again for our usual scheduled programming. Hope you all enjoyed Medieval May. What do we got, Kay, with support thingies?
So big news actually. We recently uploaded all of our podcasts to YouTube, so go check us out there, leave us likes, comments, whatever's. And we have a Goodread page now too for all of the books and works that we mention on the show. So if you are interested in anything that we talk about, go find us on Goodreads because everything that we talk about is available on there.
And we've so kindly put everything into separate like little bookshelves. So there's stuff that like Kaila recommends, there's stuff that I recommend. We have a collective of things that we both have recommended. So if you're looking for something specific, you can go and find it there.
Yes.
So yeah, we have that. We have our usual social medias like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which we're trying to use more.
Please forgive us.
Please bear with us while we do this. Be our friend on there and make us want to use it more.
Yeah. Check us out, and please, if it's super important, if you guys listen and you enjoy us, please leave us a review or on over here or on iTunes or on Facebook because I'm a fucking idiot and can't say words.
You'll get there.
Maybe one day. Maybe when I'm older.
When you grow up, you'll get there. Yeah. We like the comments, and we like when people engage with us, so please keep it up. And as Kaila said, liking, commenting, subscribing, reviewing, rating, all that fun jazz.
It's super helpful.
Yeah, and obviously, like, we need that to grow.
Yeah.
So please help us out.
Anyway, what are you drinking, Brookie?
I'm drinking strawberry tequila.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Glad we're on the same page.
Because we made these drinks together.
Oh, right.
I'm first this week, and I'm very, very excited.
I'm very excited. You look extremely excited.
I am, because we're going to talk about one of my favorite things in the whole wide world.
You have so many. I don't know what's coming.
I know. Every day's a new day. So we're going to talk about the sinking of the Titanic.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
You warned us this was coming.
I did. Actually, I don't know if I did.
Is that in a...
It was on a cut episode, a little deleted episode that I talked about it 3 different separate times. You heard it 8,000 times, but nobody else did. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. This is my favorite disaster, if one can have a favorite disaster, and that sounds horrible, but I don't really care because this shit fucking fascinates me.
Have at it, man. Let's do this.
Man, I am fucking pumped. So I had to do this one today. Now, people don't know this, but we are filming on the 31st of May.
Correct.
So I opened my time hop this morning and learned that on May 31st, 1911? I think it was 1911. We'll get to that. That's when the Titanic first launched into the water.
Oh.
Weird.
That's cool.
Weird coincidence.
Huh.
So I didn't know that when I started doing this because I researched this yesterday. So,
sure. But
yeah, really, really cool. So starting off with the Titanic, as I said, is my favorite disaster. I'm very excited for this. So my sources are Wikipedia and History.com. I also got a little bit of information from Ranker, not a lot, but most of it came from Wikipedia. History.com I also didn't take too much from because I felt like they were following the movie version and trying to present it as history, and I was like, you're wrong.
That's weird, History.com.
It was really weird.
For History.com?
For History.com. Like, I was reading up on it, and I was like, this sounds like, don't get me wrong, some of the movie is pretty accurate.
Yeah, as long as you're not taking it as, like, truth.
Yeah. But, yeah, I feel like they were trying to present it as fact, and I'm like, no.
Like, the way it happened is factual in the movie, right? But, like, Jack and Rose, obviously.
No, that's the only part of it that's really not factual, but, like, the sinking
It pretty much went down like that.
It pretty much went down like that, yeah. Which, as I said, we'll get into. So the Titanic was a British passenger ship in the White Star Line's Olympic class fleet. That class consisted of 3 different ships that were all meant to be, like, massive.
Okay. And were they all meant to serve the same purpose as, like, a luxury cruise liner, basically?
So, kind of. One of them was actually meant to be, like, a hospital.
Okay.
The other one... So, their sister ships are the Olympic and the Britannic. The Britannic was more of, like, the hospital, while the Olympic was more of, like, a cruise line, I guess, for lack
of a better. The Britannic rings a bell, too. Is that still afloat?
No, it sank.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fun story.
Cool.
So they all kind of have not great endings.
Okay.
So the Titanic was named after the Greek Titans, had 2 sister ships, as I said, the Britannic, which was actually in 1915, and the Olympic, which was in 1911. So the class was actually designed to be the largest and most luxurious passenger ships afloat.
Oh, wow.
And they were competing with another not cruise line, I guess ship line? I don't know what to call it. It's not really a cruise because they didn't have cruises per se back then.
So, like, it was just another line that also was trying to do the same thing.
Kind of. So, Cunard was, like, another ship maker of the time, which actually ended up being bought out by Carnival Cruise Line. So they're part of Carnival Cruise Line now.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. They had launched the Lusitania and the Mauretania, which at the time were the fastest ships in service. So White Star Line was basically trying to figure out how to compete with them. They were like, well, we don't want to make...
We can't be the fastest.
We're not going to be the fastest.
Could be the biggest.
But we're going to be the biggest. So, basically, the... Bruce Ismay, or J. Bruce Ismay, which is White Star's chairman, he was like, well, no fast, but big.
We slow, but we large.
But we got the bigger one, which is, typical male behavior. Yeah. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be bigger than you. So, so he was like...
Overcompensating.
Yeah. And look where I got him. So he wanted to build the largest ships the world had ever seen. At the time, also, he kind of had an excuse to, because there was... in the White Star Line's line of ships, there was also the SS Teutonic and the SS Majestic. Okay. So the Olympic was going to replace the Teutonic, while the Titanic was going to replace the Majestic. Because they were, like, the oldest ships in service at that time, so they were kind of due to be retired.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah. Surprisingly, there was no budget for building these ships.
Oh, they were just like, do whatever needs to be done.
That's exactly what happened. They were like, take what you need. Leave what you don't.
Money is not a problem.
Money is not an object. Build us the fucking biggest ships you possibly can.
Wow.
Yeah. So, in July 19...
If money is no object, it's surprising it went south.
Yeah. There's reasons. In July 1908, Harland and Wolff, who were the designers in charge of drafting up the Titanic, presented their design to Ismay, who approved it, and construction began. So the design of the Titanic is basically identical to the design of the Olympic, because they are sister ships. There's only like a few differences. Because the Olympic came up first, they kind of figured out what they didn't like about it, and then improved on those things when they did the Titanic.
Okay, and I'm sorry, what did you say the Olympic's purpose was? Was that
It was like a passenger ship.
Okay.
So basically, what they wanted to do was they wanted to have ships going from Southampton to New York, and then from New York back.
Okay,
so they wanted them constantly
like, going back
and
forth.
So they wanted that going on like a weekly basis, so that there was constantly like movement and people could leave whenever they felt like it.
Gotcha.
Really. So they were going to be the 2 ships that did that. So just to give you guys an idea of how big the Titanic was, for its time, it was massive.
It was real big.
It was quite large. It was 882 feet long, 92 feet at like its biggest width, so like more in like the middle.
Wow.
And 100 feet high from the base of the hull. I think it was supposed to be hull. I wrote hill here, but it's not hill.
I mean, obviously.
To the top of the bridge. Yeah. I was probably drunk when I wrote this. It consisted of 10 decks, 8 of which were for passengers. But just to give you an idea of like today's cruise liners.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
the Symphony of the Seas is Royal Caribbean's, like one of their cruise ships. So the Symphony of the Seas is 1,184 feet long.
Oh my God.
215 feet wide and 238 feet high.
Holy fuck.
That shit fucking overtook that.
Well, yeah.
Like, you think that the Titanic was big?
Yeah.
Check out the fucking Oasis line of Royal Caribbean ships.
Oh my God.
That shit will fucking eat you alive.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cruise ships in general that's like a topic that like really blows my mind. It just in general, like it's astounding to me that we can get something so fucking large to float.
Oh, I know. Well, and like the Symphony of the Seas can hold 7,718 people, which includes the crew.
Holy fuck.
It's fucking massive. It's unfucking real.
Wow.
So Titanic held upwards of like I think it was around 3,500.
Okay. I was gonna guess like 25.
Yeah,
so.
they're close. So it had 11 watertight doors that could close that would like automatically close in case of an emergency. But it can only take a maximum of 4 of those being flooded before like
they all shut down. Okay.
Before you were gone past like being able to do anything about it. It had 4 of the funnels on top, but only 3 of them were functional.
Oh.
The 4th one is for aesthetic.
Oh.
And for kitchen ventilation.
I can get with that. Okay.
Yeah. They had a wireless telegraph.
Do it for the vine, man.
Yeah, right? They were like, 3? No, even it out around 4.
Even numbers.
It's not going to work for us.
I get that. I like
go
even
big
numbers.
or go home, man. So they had a wireless telegraph that ran a 24-hour schedule, which was sending and receiving passenger telegrams and navigation messages, such as ice warnings. As I said, her total capacity was around 3,500, which included 900 crew members, 833 first-class passengers, 614 second-class, and about 1,000 third-class. The interior was actually inspired by, like, the Ritz Hotel.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, but they also took style from, like, the Renaissance, Louis XV, and the Empire style, which was, like, neoclassical, kind of.
Okay, so it was pretty bougie.
Oh, it was, like, straight up fucking bougie.
Cool.
Like,
cool.
everywhere on it.
Cool.
Even, like, their third class was actually, like, pretty high standard for ships of the time.
Okay.
Like, it wasn't the best because it's third class.
Right,
but, like,
you still had to be able to afford a ticket to get on.
Yeah, like, I mean, you weren't dying down there.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
you weren't, like, stored amongst the luggage.
No.
So, you were doing pretty well.
We still couldn't afford third class, basically.
No, we could not. Not on the Titanic, we couldn't. Or anywhere else. Yeah, I mean...
we probably wouldn't have made
in retrospect, I think we know if we made it. Didn't we do that thing?
Oh, yeah, there was a quiz, right?
No, it was like a paper that we got. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
I don't remember what our results were of it, but... So the first class passengers had a lot of amenities. They had a 7-foot deep heated saltwater pool, a gym, a Turkish bath that included an electric bath, a steam room, a cool room, a massage room, and a hot room.
Wait, I'm sorry. Electric bath just sounds like you're asking for trouble. Here, grab this toaster, go chill in the bathtub.
We're going to run all the electricity in the ship to that bath. You're going to feel invigorated.
I've got, like, so many questions about that.
I don't know what the fucking electric bath is.
Okay, I'll make note of that for
later. I literally don't know. I had a hard time even trying to figure out, like, a lot of these things. But
that's fair.
I know we need to look it up because I am curious.
I'm definitely going to look that up because I'm curious as fuck.
I also, like, why do we need a cool room? And a hot...
Well, you get out of the electric bath and you're pretty toasty, so you gotta go to the cool room.
But then you're too cold, so you go to the hot room.
Yeah, you are.
And then you're just, like, too hot, so you go to the steam room and you're just right.
Yeah. Then you go to bed. Because it's been a hard day.
Because it's been a rough fucking day. Oh, my God. So the first class rooms were actually, like, fucking insane. They featured a lounge that was styled in the Palace of Versailles, a reception room, a smoking room, and a reading and writing room. And that was just in, like, the entry to the room.
What? Oh my God. Have you ever seen, side note, but there's this hotel in Las Vegas, the most expensive hotel in Las Vegas. It's like $22,000 a night to stay there or something like that. I don't know if anybody has watched Sophia on YouTube, but her and her now husband had their bachelor/bachelorette party there. You just got to go watch the hotel of their tour room. It's fucking insane, man. It's probably similar to this.
I get anxiety when like a hotel room has like a little foyer.
Yeah,
I'm like, is this allowed?
Can I afford this?
Like if any wall-to-wall bed and dresser, I'm like, I don't know what to do with myself.
You should go watch it though, because it's insane.
I'll check it out.
It's probably similar to this.
It probably is. So the ship also featured an a la carte restaurant, a Cafe Parisian, which was decorated to look like a French sidewalk cafe. It had like trellises with ivy and stuff.
That's so cute.
And they also had a veranda cafe, which overlooked it was like on the ocean side, so it overlooked the ocean. And served tea as well as light refreshments. The dining saloon was the largest at sea and could seat about 600 passengers at one time.
Wow. Now I get why they wanted to do that recreation a few years ago. Because I want to see this.
This is like go big or go home.
Yeah.
Like they were not fucking around.
I'm interested.
All passengers, regardless of class, had access to the library, a gym, and smoking rooms. This is the funniest part to me. So passenger lists were distributed or were published before sailing so that you can see like who was the bougiest,
who's who.
Yeah, the who's who of who's on board. And it also helped mothers who had daughters on board that were single find eligible bachelors to marry.
I love that.
They all died.
None of them got married.
And all the bachelors didn't make it, probably. So this is kind of where there's like a point of contention with this, and we'll discuss it more when I get to it, but there was only 20 lifeboats in total.
Oh.
So 14...
That seems like a bad idea. They fit like 10 people in each.
They're actually pretty big, but there's 14 standard, which would hold about 65 people each. 4 collapsible, which I didn't even realize was a thing, but it basically has a wooden bottom and like canvas sides, so you can like break it down.
Oh, okay.
So they could like store them a little bit easier. Okay. They could hold...
Canvas is permeable.
Yeah, I don't know the science behind it. I saw it on the water. I saw pictures of it, and I was like, I don't know how that's working, but I also don't understand how a boat works, so...
That's fair. It's one of those, like,
baby
mysteries
steps.
to me. Don't get planes, don't get boats.
How? How does it happen? Even if somebody explained it to me, I still wouldn't understand how something that heavy can stay afloat in the water without sinking, or can stay up in the fucking sky.
I don't know, man.
And people think birds are a conspiracy.
It's the planes.
It's the planes and the boats you gotta watch out for.
I feel like the Lonely Island. Planes, how do they work?
Yeah. I don't know. It like stresses me out. So the 4 collapsible held about 47 people each, and then they had 2 cutters, which they're basically like a sailboat.
Okay.
But like smaller, and they can hold about 40 people. So totaled, these can hold about 1,178, which was only a third of the Titanic's capacity.
What a bad idea.
Yeah. But at the time, the Titanic wasn't carrying capacity, because they can hold up to like 3,000.
You said like 3,500.
Yeah, about 3,500. So they weren't at 3,500. Okay. They were like somewhere around like, I feel like 2,200. Okay. I know I have it written down somewhere in here, but it still couldn't. Like, you couldn't even get half of the people. Right. So, they had the ability to carry 64 lifeboats, but, and those 64 lifeboats could hold up to 4,000 people altogether. But the Board of Trade only required 16 in vessels that were 10,000 tons or more.
But, Brooke, the aesthetic.
I know. It was just, like, too much.
What's prettier, man?
I know.
14 or 65?
In a ship that's supposedly unsinkable. Plus, they thought that lifeboats aren't really intended to hold people, like, at sea for long periods of time. They're really meant to just, like, ferry you to, like, a rescue boat. But to me, the lifeboat is the rescue boat, so...
I mean, like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I guess so. But, I mean... Also,
no one's planning for a shipwreck, but also, like... Nobody's planning to not get rescued.
Yeah, like...
There is one.
How about you just put enough lifeboats on there so I don't fucking die?
Neither here nor there. Welcome to America.
I asked for very little. Very little. So, after years of building, on May 31st, 1911, which is today, not 1911,
For us,
though.
not for you guys.
Yeah. They finally launched it. It took 22 tons of soap and tallow that were spread on the slipway into, like, the water.
Yeah, like, they would probably, like, soap the bottom of
And
the
they,
ship
and
to
they
push
basically
it,
just,
basically.
like, slid it in there.
Wow.
Soap.
That's a lot.
Yep. So then, in April...
I'm just imagining some dude standing there with a bar of soap.
He's like, I need more! It's not enough! Oh my god. Soap makers of the time were probably in their glory.
They were like, man, we are rolling in it.
I don't
Thank
even
you,
care.
Titanic.
Yeah, they're like, I don't even care if I'm not washing anybody with this. I'm getting that ship into the fucking water. They were fucking excited. So in April of 1912, they finally started, like, the sea trials, which basically was to make sure that the ship was in working order.
Okay.
And that if there was anything that was going to go wrong, they wanted to make sure that they fixed it. I don't know why they would do that right before they were supposed to journey out across the fucking Atlantic, but that's neither here nor there.
They didn't do a very good job anyway,
No.
so.
So they brought the ship up to Southampton, which is where it was going to end up sailing out of. So just a little, like, aside. The captain was John Edward Smith. He was previously on the Olympic. Henry Tingle Wild was the chief mate, and then William Murdoch and Charles Lightoller were the first and second officers. So as far as passenger counts, on board, including crew, there was 2,224 people.
Okay.
There was 1,317 people that were not crew. 324 were first class, 284 were second class, and 709 were third class.
Okay.
869 were male, 447 were female, and there was 107 children.
Okay.
Some notable people that were on board that night.
Note me.
We had Macy's owner, Isidore Strauss.
Oh.
He died.
I'm assuming that follows most of the names you're about to tell me.
I didn't look up the other ones, but I know he died.
Oh, okay.
I think most of... Oh, no, the last one did not. Tennis player Carl Howell Bear, and then silent film actress Dorothy Gibson, who did survive because she went on to star in the first movie about the sinking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That must have been very traumatic.
Hey, you making
what
money.
A triggering
right?
experience.
But she was like, I was there. I can act this out.
Yeah.
J.P. Morgan of J.P. Morgan and Chase fame was supposed to be on the ship, but he had business things going on and canceled last minute.
As those bankers tend to do.
Yeah, busy bank things. There was actually a lot of, like, really notable people on there, but these are the ones that, like, they were names that I kind of recognized.
Yeah.
The other ones were mostly, like, millionaires, and I don't think you're notable because you're a millionaire, so...
Yeah, that's fair.
I didn't feel like it was necessary to include you. Yeah. So they planned to arrive in New York on April 17th.
Okay.
The first few days at sea were pretty uneventful. But as they approached the Great Banks of Newfoundland, which I'm pretty sure is like an area, like we're not just saying, oh, the Great Banks of Newfoundland. I think it's
like
place.
a place. Okay.
Yeah.
Are they noted for being like difficult to maneuver?
Yes.
Okay.
So they started to get ice warnings. That is a really bad area of like the North Atlantic.
Okay.
Which we'll see in the future here.
I mean, we know how this story ends.
Don't tell everyone. Don't spoil
Spoiler
it.
alerts.
Everyone dies. So the warnings weren't really seen as warnings. They were more of like advisories, like guidelines to follow.
Hey, buddy, there might be some ice ahead.
Yeah. But they were like little cause for concern because it was kind of believed that ice wasn't a big threat, like wasn't a huge threat to larger ships. Near misses were pretty common, and there was even like a few head-on collisions, but they did very little damage. So like people weren't super concerned about it. To
be fair, with a ship that big, you expect things to run.
Yeah,
into
and
it.
they thought like, hey, we can take the damage if we do end up hitting something like that. So they weren't really like crazy concerned about it. So now for the most important part of the story, the tragedy. At 11:40 p.m. on April 14th, the lookout, Frederick Fleet, spotted an iceberg that was directly ahead of the boat and alerted the crew. So I think it's First Officer Murdoch basically ordered them to stop the engines completely. They were already going, like, full speed ahead, though.
Okay.
Which wasn't unusual. Like,
Right.
most ships in the area
They
did
don't
that.
go very fast, so to go full speed ahead is, like...
I mean, like, the
you're
ship could
still
go
only going,
relatively
like,
fast,
20,
but
30 knots.
it wasn't, like, anything like the other ships that we
Right.
were seeing. So, they basically decided to stop the engines to get the ship to stop. Because in tests, I think they could stop it in, like, 3 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Which is really surprising to me.
Yeah, that's...
Because...
I can't imagine that you can do anything to stop a ship anyway. Like, you just gotta run out of steam.
You just kind of rows.
Right.
I don't know. But they figured that they were going to try to steer around it. We kind of know what happens next.
Yeah, it didn't.
They didn't. So...
Whoopsie.
My bad. The starboard side was hit, creating not only a series of holes, but a huge dent, which caused, like, the seams in the side to buckle.
Okay. Did you look up to see which side is starboard? Because I don't know. Is it the left or the right?
I don't. I think it's the right.
Okay.
I think.
I don't know.
I don't fucking know.
What am I, a ship person?
Did I fucking build it? No. I don't fucking know. It's just there.
Right.
Which, it's weird because, like, the information kind of contradicts itself. Like, some said that it didn't tear a gash in it, but the other one, like, other information that I found said that there was, like, a 300-foot gash in the side of the boat.
Oh, wow.
Which is, you know, it's going to cause
pretty big.
It's going to cause some problems.
I mean, if the ship is 800 foot long, that's almost half as long as the ship.
Yeah, it's fucking massive. So the water started coming in. 5 of the 11 watertight compartments filled up, even though it can only handle 4.
Oh boy.
So the ship
nervous.
began to go down front first. So I think that's the bow. No, stern. I think it's the stern.
I think it's the stern. That
Yeah.
sounds right.
No.
Bow, butt.
I think the bow might be the front.
I don't know, man.
At the bow is where you put the mermaid thing.
Okay.
I
That
think.
sounds logic in my opinion.
Right? Like, I don't know. I don't know why I said it like that. Like, it was like a rhyme. At the bow is where you put the mermaid. Like, I don't fucking know. I also didn't write it down. I don't fucking know. I just made that up. But that started to go down first. That's what's important here.
The mermaid place.
The mermaid place, where there wasn't a mermaid, but that's where it should have been, went down first.
They should have put a mermaid on it. Maybe it would have ended differently.
I mean, the mermaid could have saved them.
Maybe.
That's the logic
What
of
do we
putting it
know?
there, right? I don't know why they do that either. So, you know, naturally the crew and the passengers are not prepared to handle this kind of emergency. That morning, they had canceled a lifeboat drill. Bet they kicked themselves for that.
You guys can't see me rolling my eyes into the back of my head right now.
Yeah. So, there was a lot of confusion and panic. Nobody knew what the fuck to do. The crew was only half filling the lifeboats because they were unsure about their actual capacity. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, if we couldn't fit everybody before,
What a dumpster fire.
now we really can't fit
Yeah.
everybody. So, around 2:10 a.m., 2.5 hours after hitting the iceberg, the rate of sinking increased. The stern rose out of the water. Okay, I was right. The bow and then the stern. So, the back of it rose out of the water. The propellers came out. That part is, like, so heavy and there was so much water that it basically just snapped into 2 pieces.
Right.
So, by 2:20, the ship had completely sunk. There was nothing above water anymore.
Oh
so,
my
in that,
God.
like, 10...
Not even our aesthetically pleasing things?
No, that shit fucking went down. Yeah, took about fucking 10 minutes for that whole thing to go completely under.
Oh my god.
The water was 28 degrees. People died within minutes from either drowning, hypothermia, or cardiac arrest.
Oh no.
If you weren't dead within those few minutes, it took about 15 to 30 minutes, and you were probably frozen to death.
Oh my god.
Only 5 people who actually went into the water came out and lived. Yeah.
Holy crap.
So everybody basically died. The most frustrating part about this is that distress calls were sent up, but most ships in the area were too far away, which isn't the problem, really, because the SS Californian was close enough to see the flares go up, but chose to ignore them because they were like, oh, they're friendly signals.
What?
And they saw, like, I read, like, a whole article about how, like, they watched the lights blink out of the ship, and one of the crew members was like, hey, something seems a little funky over here. And the captain was like, nah, it it's okay.
Oh my
It's
God.
fine.
I feel like completely floored.
Yeah.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. So if the Californian had actually like gone out there,
They could have saved so many people.
They probably could have saved everybody because they had the capacity to hold that many people. So they could have saved everybody on that ship, and most likely most people wouldn't have died, except for the people who were completely underwater underneath the deck.
Yeah.
Because that's how close they were. Like they could see the lights in the distance. So that kind of pisses me off because I didn't know that either. But that's really frustrating.
Yeah.
So around 4 a.m., the Carpathia arrived, which ends up being the rescue ship. They were they weren't like in the area, but they were kind of like the closest who answered the call. There was another ship that said they probably wouldn't get there until around 6 a.m., but they could make it around 4. So Carpathia got there, kind of took everybody that they could off the lifeboats. 710 people survived. 1,500 people died. Only 333 were recovered, and only about 2/3 of those people were ever identified.
Wow.
Yeah. So they're all kind of buried in 3 separate cemeteries. So I know there's one, I think in Nova Scotia.
Okay.
Or in Halifax. Halifax is part of Nova Scotia, I think.
You're asking the wrong person.
I don't know. I'm just asking the fucking ethers at this point. I don't fucking know. There might be one over in Liverpool. I don't know. I know there's a couple different ones, and I think there's like a separate area for people who are like unidentified. But the sinking caused a lot of maritime laws and regulations to change.
Yeah, I bet.
Requiring more lifeboats and implementing the requirement of safety drills, which could have... both of those could have fucking helped.
Yeah, if not prevented, then at least minimized the death.
There's like
and
so
also
many...
like there's no such thing as friendly flares.
No, we're not just... It's a fucking firework.
Yeah.
So the International Ice Patrol was set up to monitor icebergs in the North Atlantic. The International Convention for Safety of Life at Sea was established to enforce minimum safety standards in construction equipment and operations of ships. And then the Radio Act of 1912 determined that all flares and rockets were to be treated as distress signals.
Yeah.
Because why the fuck wouldn't you?
Wow, that's really surprising. I didn't know any of that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You are welcome.
Wow.
So we got a lot of shit out of that.
Yeah.
There's another really weird thing here. So the last survivor, Melvina Dean, who was 2 at the time of the sinking, died
and she survived?
She survived, yeah.
Wow.
She died at 97 on May 31st, 2009.
Wow.
Another May 31st.
Almost exactly 100 years, like 98 years later.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Weird.
Yeah.
So they thought initially that the Titanic sank in one piece. After a lot of searching, it was finally found on September 1st, 1985 by Robert Ballard and Jean-Louis Michel. The bow and stern were about 1/3 of a mile apart, and the debris field was like 5 by 3 miles, and contained furniture, dinnerware, other random objects from the ship, and clothing that they thought was probably from a bunch of dead bodies that were sitting on the floor.
Yeah.
In 2006, it was estimated that it probably had about 50 years left, because there is so much pressure as far... Like, that ship is really far down.
Yeah.
It's really fucking deep.
I mean, you're in the middle of the sea. It's going to be super fucking deep.
But also, like, the iron is being eaten away by the salt water.
Okay.
I actually did, I think... maybe my junior year or my sophomore year, I did my science fair project on that.
Oh, cool.
On, like, why the Titanic was deteriorating so quickly. So as of right now, it's protected by UNESCO, Convention on the Protection of Underwater Cultural Heritage, which prevents pillaging, commercial exploitation, sale, and dispersion of the wreck or artifacts. So it's hard because it's in international waters, so they have to, like, if someone wants to go down there, you have to, like, contact a bunch of different people,
right,
because everybody has to be on board with it.
Right.
And at this point, I think they're still letting people go down there, which I think is bullshit. Like, you shouldn't be letting anybody go down there, because the last person, I think, that went down there hit it with a submarine by accident.
Oh, my God.
Didn't do any damage, but, like, come on. Like,
yeah.
It just is really frustrating.
So, I don't know if you'll know the answer to this, but, like, I know that a lot of times shipwrecks begin, like, coral starts to grow on them. Mm-hmm. Do you know if this has become, like, an ecosystem down there?
So, the only thing that, like, has really grown on it is these things called rusticles. So the
Okay.
rust is
Are they like barnacles?
No, it's literally
Oh.
rust icicles that are growing on it.
That's cool.
Because there's so much rust.
Okay. Is it also like because it's so deep that there's just like no room, like it's not really a zone where things live?
Well, things live on it, but I don't think they're creating like an ecosystem on it. Not so much that it's like holding it together.
Okay.
Because every time that they go down there, it's like more and
further
more
deteriorated.
Yeah, like I know. What actually sparked me to do this was there was an article that I read recently that they got a. I don't know who's they. Oh, like the Titanic like association or whatever. Like the people who are officially in charge of like taking care of the wreck got approved to go down there to grab the radio system for like the Morse code. I think it was like called the Marconi system. Or it's like a telegraph. They got approved to go down there and retrieve that. Out of the I think it's called the silent room, which is where like the telegraph room basically. So they're going to be making a trip down there to go get that, but they have to go in because that area of the ship is so fragile. They have to go in with special tools to even retrieve it with like a submarine basically. But they have to go down there with this like, I guess it's kind of like this pen. Okay. But it's almost like thinner and go through like the hole. In, like, the top of, like, the roof area to, like, retrieve it without disturbing anything else because the roof is about to collapse.
And maybe this is, like, an insensitive question, but...
I've just talked about people dying
but,
and being I've been an asshole this entire time. Are you kidding me?
But what does it matter if it breaks apart at this point? Because, like, it's going to deteriorate no matter what. At this point, it's probably causing well, maybe not at this point anymore, but, like... You know, it probably polluted that part of the ocean for a hot minute. What does it matter if we can't preserve it?
I think it's just because it's such a big part of history. Like, it's one of the biggest maritime disasters. That wasn't, like, a war thing. Like, they call it, like, a peacetime disaster. In, like, our history.
That's
like, it
fair.
was such a huge loss of life.
It was, yeah.
Like, I kind of see both ends of the argument because, like, a lot of the comments that I was reading where people were like, don't fucking go down there. Like, you're just disturbing the area and just leave it alone.
But, like, I don't get what that really matters.
Because some people see it as, like, a graveyard. So, like, that's where so many people lost their lives. Why are we going down there and disturbing their final resting place?
That, then.
Which I get.
Yes.
But at the same time, like, I'm one of those people that's, like, bring up as much stuff as you possibly can.
Yeah, because it's going to deteriorate. You said it's got 50 years left on it anyway.
Not even at this point.
At this point, no. But, like, just take up what you can. And, like, if we can recover some articles of clothing from people, if we can recover anything, then isn't that a better completion to their ending?
Like, I get it. As I said, like, I get the whole, like, don't disturb the grave.
Yeah.
But it is a part of history. So we should be going down there and taking whatever we possibly can and bringing it up and preserving it.
Right.
Because those are the things that we can preserve.
Yeah. At this point, there's really no point in, like, studying it because it happened. It's over and done with.
But there's a lot of cool artifacts down there
that
do tell us.
It's a huge piece of not just our history, but, like, UK's history as well. It's a huge piece of worldwide history.
Yeah. I mean... As I said, I'm one of those people that's like, just take everything.
Yeah.
Just do it. And I think I feel more that way because we went to that Titanic museum. Yeah. And seeing all that stuff is so eerie and, like, very weird.
Yeah. So we went to this Titanic exhibit in Orlando, like, probably, like, 4 years ago, I think it was.
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Something
like that.
And, the whole place does just have this air of, like, quiet stillness to it.
Because there's, like, remember those, like, sound effects that they do when you're in each room?
Yeah.
That, like, that horn will go off and, like, scare the fucking shit out of you.
It was... If anybody goes to Orlando anytime soon or, like, has plans, please take the trip to go there because it was... a truly remarkable experience.
It's like, it's haunting in a way. Because, like, when you go in, like, you're not allowed to really take pictures in there, but you can, like, they give you, like, a little passport that, like, has the name.
It makes you, like, a traveler on
and it
the
has,
Titanic.
like, the name of a real passenger. So, like, when you get to the end, you find out, like, if you lived or died. I think one of us lived.
One of us lived. I think it was you.
Maybe. I was a child, I think.
It's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But it was super cool and super intense.
Yeah. Like, everything is, like, real, like... It's, like, all preserved in there. There's, like, a room that basically looks like the edge of the ship that has, like, stars and stuff.
Yes.
And it's, like, fucking freezing out there.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, they keep, like, the temperature on par with what it would have been. Yeah. And it was a very cool experience.
Yeah. And then when you get to the end, there's, like, an iceberg that you can touch, which is real. It's a real iceberg. Did not realize that. I think there was a bucket of water, too, that you can put your hand in so you could feel how cold the water was. Right, yeah. That shit fucking hurt.
Which on the eve of Corona might not be something you're interested in doing, but...
That's fair. They might not have that anymore. And then they also had, like, a piece of the hull.
Yes.
Which was legitimate.
As well as just, like, a bunch of other artifacts in regards to it. I feel like I remember, like, maybe a suitcase that was recovered.
They had a life jacket. I remember that.
Yeah. It was a very cool experience.
There was documents, a menu. I remember the menu.
Yes. Yeah.
It's a cool experience, so it's highly recommended that everyone check that out if you are as interested in the Titanic as I am. Because that is a disaster I'm fucking obsessed with. And, like, if there was ever such a thing as reincarnation, I 100% believe I was on the Titanic.
That's fair.
I feel like, yeah, I just feel like I was. So that's just, like, such a cool thing, and I freaking love it. So that's the story of the sinking of the Titanic, and I'm happy I got to do that. Sorry for anybody who felt like I was being insensitive or a jerk about it, because I didn't mean to be, but I'm just really fucking excited about that disaster. It's just so interesting. There's so much to it.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, that's that. What do you got?
And we'll be right back.
With a fun and interesting ad. Okay, what do you got for me?
Okay, so I'm just going to apologize in advance because I'm going to fuck up the pronunciation of these names 15,000 times. My sources come from Wikipedia, history.howstuffworks.com, and thewayofthepirates.com. So,
okay.
Sounds legit, right?
Okay.
So it's kind of funny because I, too, chose something that happened on the ocean.
Oh,
we are talking about the most prolific female pirate in history.
Who?
Her name was Madam Cheng.
You know, in my list of things, like, topics, that was one of my topics.
Really?
Like, I actually have, like, the first female pirate in there, but close enough.
Yeah,
I'm very excited. Tell me.
So, Madam Cheng was born Xing Shi in 1775 in the Guangdong province of China. There's no way I said that right. I'm really sorry. She worked as a prostitute on a floating brothel for the majority of her early life until she married Cheng the First in 1801, who was, like, a notorious pirate already at the time.
Okay.
There's a little bit of debate, I guess, as to why he married her. Some people think that she was, like, super effective at pillow talk and was basically able to just, like, get dudes to do what she wanted.
Okay.
Good for you, girlfriend.
You do you, girl.
Some people think that Cheng had to make, like, a business move because he was he had too much money and had to, like, create an alliance to basically, like, shoulder some of that burden.
Yes, what a burden it is to have too much money.
Yeah. And some people think that he was genuinely just, like, super infatuated with her because I looked up pictures of her and she was pretty good looking. Like, okay. I feel like usually you see pictures of women throughout history and
you're like,
okay. But she was very pretty.
Painters never did them justice, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like,
I hope that's what it was.
I mean, I like to think of it in terms of all royalty pictures look the same to me.
That's fair.
So obviously the same dude was commissioned to paint all of these.
He lived for 500 years and painted all of them.
And he was like, y'all look the same to me. And that was that.
What wasn't up for debate is that they entered into a pretty formal contract and that Xing Shi, got a 50% partnership in all of his pirating.
Nice.
Yeah.
What a fucking deal.
Yeah. She basically, like, immediately stepped up as, like, not his second in command, but his partner in all of this. Like, they had an enormous fleet. They had it, like, it became to be known as the Red Flag Fleet but under both of them, it had, like, different sections with different colored flags. Like, there was the red flag fleet, the black flag fleet, the green flag fleet, and they all operated under the two of them.
Damn.
Yeah. So,
relationship goals.
Yeah. They pretty quickly adopted a teenage son, Cheng Po. He was Cheng's legal heir, and there are some rumors about how he came to that. They think that Cheng the First, not Our Lady Cheng, might have, like, coerced him into a sexual relationship, and he, like, gave him a couple of ships, but was able to, like, rise through the ranks, basically, which is, like, he rose above it, if that is the truth. I don't know. And they saw that he had, like, pretty promising leadership capabilities, so kind of gave him his own section of the fleet.
Nice.
Then they had two more children, Cheng Ying Shi and Cheng Hyung Shi, both boys.
Okay.
And then, basically, Cheng used, like, brute power and his good reputation to align multiple rivaling Cantonese pirate fleets. So he basically, like, there were a bunch of broken up rivaling fleets.
Okay.
And he kind of got them all going under the same flag.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm sorry, everybody.
They're fucking, like, negotiators over there.
Yeah, they were real notorious. The two of them amassed a coalition of upwards of 400 junk ships. A junk ship is, like, a traditional Chinese sailing ship, so they were pretty sizable. They had 400 under their fleet and approximately 70,000 men under their command. Yeah.
Holy shit. How do you keep track of that many people?
I don't know.
I can't deal with fucking 3 people.
Right?
I'm like, I don't know where any of you are supposed to be right now.
It's insane. It quickly, obviously, became one of the most powerful fleets in all of China. Yeah. And then became known as the Red Flag Fleet.
Okay.
By 1804, the two were, like, seriously a force to be reckoned with. So they married in 1801, within 3 years, like, she was right next to him in command with his 70,000 men right beside him.
They were fucking shit up.
Yeah.
Damn.
On November 16th, 1807, at the age of 39, Cheng died in Vietnam. Aww. So, and immediately Madam Cheng knew that, like, if I want to keep control of these dudes, I gotta do something serious. So, she... I literally wrote, in a move to rival Woody Allen, married her stepson. No!
I was rooting for her. I don't know why I didn't see that coming. Damn it!
Yeah.
No,
so,
girl.
She knew this was, like, a very important step in her remaining in power. Unfortunately, it's super common.
I know.
He wasn't a kid.
I know.
He entered into that one potentially willingly. I don't know for sure. It was, they did go on to have a couple more children together. So I don't think that the adoption of him was ever, like, I look at you as my son. It was more of, like, a power move on everybody's part. So I don't think it was, like, I look at you as my son and now also as my husband.
My husband.
My husband. She won over a lot of the other fleet's captains by, like, building on the relationship she already had with them and, like, making herself completely indispensable to them.
Okay.
Immediately, Cheng set up, like, super strict guidelines for all of the men below her.
Okay.
And, I've got some of those guidelines for you. They're super interesting.
Can't wait to hear this.
So, anyone giving their orders, ones that did not come from her, or disobeying orders that did come from her, was immediately beheaded.
Fair.
No one was to steal from the public fund or the villagers that supplied them.
Fair.
All goods taken as booty were to be presented for inspection. It was then registered by a purser, which is basically, like, an old school accountant, and then given to the fleet leader. You can keep 20% at the end of the day.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's like your taxes.
These are all reasonable, I feel like.
Yeah, they're pretty solid. Any actual money was to be handed over, and you would be given a small amount for supplies for the less successful ships. So, like, if you were on a real good ship and you won $100, you would have to hand it over. You'd get some of it, but it would go to the ships that couldn't pillage their own food or like supplies or whatever they needed.
Okay.
Any first-time offenders of breaking these laws would be whipped. Okay. If you repeatedly offended, or people who did like they withheld a lot of the booty, they were just decapitated.
Okay.
No issues.
Once again, I'm not finding any problems here.
Yeah.
I feel like these are
pretty
all
fair.
Pretty fair,
honestly,
yeah.
Yeah, like it's a communal thing, you know? Like you're basically part of a pirate commune.
Yeah, I mean,
you got to share.
In America, you steal from the poor and you become president, so
yeah.
You know. This is fair.
So Chang's Code had a special, because you know it does, had a special rules for female captives.
Okay.
Standardly, women were to be released. They were not to be kept as prisoners on these ships. However, a lot of the pirates would keep, like, the real pretty ones. Because pirates.
Because pirates.
If they did take female captives as their concubines, they were expected to remain faithful to them, or wives. Like, they were not expected to be sleeping around.
I mean, I guess I hate to say that's
Doesn't
fair.
Sound the worst
but
job.
It's fair because, I mean, if I'm gonna steal you and claim that you're now mine, I better fucking treat you right then.
Yeah.
Otherwise, why?
Yeah.
So
dudes who didn't abide by that or raped people got decapitated.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm interested. This is great.
I agree with this.
Yeah. It's solid. Deserters were often flogged or kept in iron shackles or sometimes mutilated. I read that they specifically might have their ears chopped off.
Why their ears?
I don't know. Why not?
Okay. I mean...
Why not pinky?
Yeah, I'd go for the fingers first, I think.
I don't know, man. There was no explanation.
Because you're not going to be able to, like, unshackle yourself or anything.
Yeah.
I'd just go right for your fingers.
I don't know. So Madame Chang ran the, like, southern Chinese sea for several years. Just like her and Cheng Po and their 70,000 dudes.
Nice.
She was super strict with her coalition and ruthless in her punishments. Like, there were no second chances. And in 1808, the Chinese government tried to defeat Cheng in battle. They had 270 government ships. She took 266 of them for herself.
Damn, son.
Yeah, she took their entire fleet.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I can look past the weird
mutilation.
Oh no, that's not
The
what I had a problem
stepson
with. The stepson thing is what I had an issue with. I'll look past it though for that. You did good.
Her forces depleted their fleet so much they wound up having to use fishing vessels.
Sucks to suck, bro.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with pirates.
She collected taxes and, like, patronage from local villages and stuff like that, and wound up being so financially prosperous that they had to, like, open financial offices on land because they could not contain it all.
What is up with these people and being too fucking rich?
Right? Where's our cut?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Hi, I'm super poor.
Right? Madam Cheng, I'll sail for you.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't even know what that would feel like. Like,
right?
I have nowhere to put my money.
They would, like, just occasionally capture Chinese officials and, like, hold them for ransom for funsies.
Okay.
Because why not? Like, it's Tuesday. What else are you doing?
Gotta keep the people in line, I guess, right?
However,
oh no,
all good luck eventually runs out.
Tell me. Break it to me.
A former ally of the Red Flag Fleet had previously broken off, probably when Cheng assumed power, and allied themselves with the Portuguese Navy. The Portuguese were, like, a super formidable navy in this time. They had a lot going for them. They had, like, giant army ships manned with, like, a lot of weaponry and stuff like that. And they also had the British East India Trading Company on their side.
Oh, no.
And as we know, most people don't come back from that.
No, they don't.
So in the naval battle of you're gonna laugh at this one.
Do your best.
Czech Lapcock.
Oh, okay,
The Red Flag Fleet. They were offered amnesty.
Okay.
And they surrendered. So she was able to get them to keep their loot, most of their loot, and less than 200 of her men were put to death.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's not the worst ending.
No, not at all.
Like,
no.
They made out pretty good.
This actually, it's super interesting because she went on, she just like kind of stopped doing pirate stuff. She was one of the only pirates to ever just retire from the pirate life and just live out the rest of her life.
She just like hung up her hat with a feather in it.
Yeah.
And,
so,
called it a day.
Chang negotiated for her husband, Chang Po, to be granted several ships and a place on a new government agency for hunting pirates.
Okay.
And she asked for like several of her other men to be granted positions in the Chinese bureaucracy. So like she was like, I'm gonna surrender, but you're gonna give me fucking everything I want.
Did they give it to her?
Yes.
What?
Yes. Wow. Chang Po went on to like be part of this pirate hunting crew in the Chinese government. A bunch of her men went into government official like jobs. In 1813, she gave birth to Chang Po's son and later a daughter. And previously, their marriage had not been like legitimized because of, I guess, just pirate stuff. I don't really know the details of that, but it got legitimized at that point.
Not like pirate stuff is legitimate anyway, but
that's
okay.
fair, yeah.
But that's what we're concerned about.
I don't know. Chang Po died at sea in 1822, so just a year after their marriage was legitimized. And Chang moved her whole family to Macau.
Okay.
And there she just kind of like opened her own gambling house and ran a brothel.
As one does.
Yeah. And she would, like, she might have been involved in the salt trade because that was, like, a hot thing at the time.
Yeah, salt was, like, expensive, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it was, like, pretty under the table, so she might have been, like, a root on the salt trade.
Under the table salt?
Yeah. I hate you.
So sorry.
In 1839, she served as an advisor to Ling Zexu. I don't know if I'm saying that right. During the first Opium War against the British Army. So she went on to be an advisor for the army that she had previously just slaughtered ruthlessly.
They were probably like, shit, you're back?
We should probably ask Cheng.
Yeah.
In 1844, she died at home surrounded by her family at the age of 69.
Good for her.
Yeah, like, so she was a fierce ass bitch who had an army of 70,000 men under her on the sea. She only did it for like 3 years because that's about the time that she surrendered.
Yeah.
And just like lived out the rest of her life owning a brothel. What a dream.
Yeah. Wow.
I do have a fun fact for you.
Ooh.
And you'll enjoy this. Madam Cheng, one of the 9 pirate lords of the Brethren Court in Pirates of the Caribbean, is based on her.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch that.
Yeah, it's based on her. And she also appears in 3 tie-in books, which I didn't know there were any tie-in books, but she's in 3 of them.
I didn't know. Maybe I did know there were tie-in books. I feel like I vaguely have an idea of a cover, but that's not what's important because I don't want to read the tie-in books.
No.
The movie, though, that movie is fucking great.
Yeah. So she was in at World's End, I think it was.
Yes. Mm-hmm. That's when the Brethren Court comes in. Nice.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to watch that because I feel like I kind of have like a vague recollection of her, too, at that table
You
with
would
them.
recognize her if you saw her. Like, they've got a picture of her. I think it was on the Wikipedia page I saw it. You would recognize it immediately.
Oh, yeah. I feel like I could see it in, like, my mind's eye. Mm-hmm. It's there. That's cool.
Yeah, it was super interesting.
That's a lot of fun. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Female pirates are fucking ruthless.
Yeah. I mean, they had to be. It's a man's world, man.
Yeah, it is. They'll fuck you up.
Mm-hmm.
I want to, like, I want to know more about female pirates. Male pirates we know all about, but the
Yeah, we
female
don't care
ones,
about
like,
them.
they gotta fucking work for it.
I was gonna do a male pirate, but then I stumbled upon her, and I was like, oh, shit.
Fuck those dudes.
Yeah, yeah, fuck those dudes.
They get enough recognition.
This lady was a boss.
Yeah, she was. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I don't have any books to recommend with that, though.
Do I? I don't think I do either.
I have a book for mine.
Yeah, do yours then.
So I didn't finish reading it, but
Classic.
well, the only reason is because it's not accurate. So it's called The Sinking of the Titanic, and it was written directly after the Titanic sank, before they even knew, like, what had actually happened.
Okay.
Which also, fun fact, which I didn't include in mine, but I read it in that book, which I do know this to be accurate. Initially, reports that were coming in about, like, the sinking were saying that nobody died.
What?
Yeah, because
God.
like, I guess when the telegraph came through, like, something got jumbled, so it looked like the ship sank, but like,
everybody lived.
But, like, there were, like, everyone was rescued, everyone survived, and it wasn't until, like, on the 16th, which is my birthday, that they realized that, like, more than half the fucking people died on it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, but that was in that book. That book actually includes, like, a lot of, like, photos and, like, newspaper clippings and stuff from the day that everything happened. My aunt bought it while she was actually visiting, like, I don't know where... She was in Ireland. It came from Ireland.
Okay, yeah, my in-laws have been to the one in Ireland as well.
Yeah. Because that's, like, that's the big one. That's
yeah,
the big one.
Yeah.
So she bought it there. There's, like, a postcard in there. But as I said, I didn't finish it because not all the information is accurate in there. And there is a disclaimer that says, like, hey, this was written in, like, 1912,
after,
so not everything is up to date.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to find a book that was, like, more up to date, but I am having a hard time because I don't want to... This is going to sound really bad, but I don't want to hear about survivor stories. I don't want to hear about them because I know what happened. So, like...
I feel like I would like a survivor story if it's, like, a first-hand account.
That's what they are. A lot of them are, like
that
books.
I'm interested in.
I just don't want to hear about it. I want to
so
know,
scary.
like... I don't know. Like, I want, like, a breakdown of what
science of
happened.
it,
Yeah,
yeah.
like, the science behind it. Like, an actual, like, account of everything that happened. I don't really need to know where you were on the ship when that occurred. That's just me. But it's hard to find, like, a book like that that's not, like, fictionalized.
Yeah.
I'll keep looking because I do want to read up on it. Another fun fact, which I forgot to mention too, was didn't the guy in the Titanic Museum tell us that the grand staircase was, like, not real? I feel like he told us that, like...
I don't know.
It was
have
a
a much better memory for that stuff than I do.
I feel like even in the moment that he told me, 10 minutes later, I was like, wait, did you just tell me it wasn't real? Because I feel like he said that it was, like, just, like, more like a movie thing. It wasn't, like, in the actual thing.
Maybe.
But
That sounds like it could be
all
accurate.
the information that I found says it was, like, legit. Like, that grand staircase was, like, completely annihilated when the ship sank. That they thought it was, like, basically sucked up
Oh, wow.
into, like, the dome that was above it.
Okay.
And it just, like, it's gone. And it's now, like, an entry point into, like, the ship because it's just, like, a gaping fucking hole.
That's interesting.
Yeah. I think that'll be the picture that I use for this. That picture of us on the stairs. Yeah, so that's the book I recommend if you're interested in not really caring too much about it being updated. But if I find others, I'll add them to the Goodreads page. So that's all I got.
Okay. Well, I think that was great.
So, all right.
Okay.
We'll be back next week with more random...
Hot topics.
Yeah, hot topics of the time. Random things. Bye.
Stay weird and stay drunk.
And keep learning shit.